Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to talk to you guys about the brand new record from Toxpack, Kämpfer, out May 31st on Napalm Records. The album has 16 tracks, 2 of them are bonus tracks, and it's 51 minutes in length. This is the band's 9th studio album. The band refers to the sound on this record specifically as street rock. I honestly understand where they're going with that, but to me this is a pure blend of hardcore and punk, with a huge amount of pure rock influences. So you really have those three worlds that, while to some people perhaps sound distant, they're not. There is a lot of similarities between hard rock, punk, and rock. All of them are kind of intertwined on this record, and when you put those genres into one single record, you do get that street rock, that pure aggressive street rock vibe out of your album, and that's what you're gonna get from this record. The album looks long, because when you look at it, 16 tracks, 51 minutes, to be honest with you, there's one track that goes over. I was going to say there is no track, but there is one. There's one track that goes over the 4-minute mark. Everything else is under the 4-minute mark. So while when you're looking at it, you see 16 tracks, it may feel like a really long album. That's not the case. This album really flies by. The songs are short, which is a normal thing with punk and hardcore albums. It really has a tendency to have much shorter songs. So this one is no different. It has that same punk hardcore vibe, even in the way that the album is structured and the way the songs are put together. Now, once you made it pass into the intro, there's an intro into this record, so the first track on the album is an intro. Once you make it past that, you can really expect a lot of energy, irreverence, bravado. These are all the things you're going to expect from the music coming at you once you get through that first intro track. I really like the intro track, by the way, because it kind of eases your way into the album. It doesn't really give too much away from what the record is all about. So it's a nice little, it's a really nice introduction. It really does what's supposed to do, and I really like the fact that they added an intro track. So if the album doesn't start and it doesn't start off immediately with aggression, I like that. I like that it has the intro, allows you to ease yourself into, and then the pure rawness, energy, irreverence, aggression, bravado, all of those things come out in the remainder of the tracks on the record. There are no dips on this album. There are some songs that change the tempo a little bit, change the mood, if you will, that are a little bit slower in nature. They have a more methodic approach, but overall, you're still going to find components, even in those songs, that elevate the energy of the track. So overall, this is a record that really doesn't feel to me that it has any dips whatsoever. It's a record that's very linear in nature. It really feels to me, the moment you start listening to it to the moment you finish, it's a record that just takes you on a straight path, takes you on a straight line. It never really deviates too far off of that path. Even the songs that perhaps have a less natural or less common structure to the rest of the record, even those still have some elements that bring it back to the DNA of the overall record. So I feel like this record is one of those that what you get from the first song, you're going to get it all the way through. There's not going to be any surprises for the listener. There's really not going to be anything thrown at you during this record that makes you scratch your head and say, wow, I didn't expect that coming. That also is a basic result of the simplicity that the album has, which is also not uncommon from hardcore and punk bands. So when you have an album that really blends those styles, it's not uncommon. The simplicity is not necessarily a negative. You don't have to have complicated orchestrations, complicated tracks to have an album that is solid, that is well put together, that has a well-balanced sound. To me, simplicity sometimes works, and simplicity does not mean something bad. It just means that it has a simple approach. This album to me feels that way. It feels like it has a simple approach. Having said that, it's a well put together, well balanced record from the first to the last track, and it is an album that really is representative of the band, of the style of the band, and the sound that they want to put together. This is a record that the more and more you listen to it, the more you start to realize that they try to capture a little bit of the life essence of the band into the studio. This is an anthem record. It really feels to me like this album is full of anthems. It has songs that are just very captivating, that have a lot of vibes that really represent the band from a live perspective. The way they use, I'm going to start with the vocals. The way they use a lot of layering on the vocals, it really adds a sense of volume. It adds a sense of choir. And to me, that is something that you can bring it back to the studio from the live setting. When you're performing live, the fans are singing, you're singing, the bandmates are singing. So there is a sense of multiple voices incorporated into a song that originally just had one vocal track. I felt that they brought that vibe, that atmosphere, if you will, from the live setting to the studio. They incorporated layers to a lot of their songs in the vocal tracks, not from beginning of the song to the end of the song. And some songs they incorporated just in the chorus, some songs they did it sporadically throughout the verses. But they did it. And what that does to a song, it really gives a vibe of a live track, and it gives an anthem vibe to the song. I like that. My only negative on it is that they really used it a lot throughout the album. I would have perhaps have cut down a little bit on it. I would have gone with a fewer tracks using that style and try to do different things to give that raw, that street, that live vibe to the record, because it becomes a little bit predictable. When you start using it track after track after track, it becomes a little bit predictable. Overall, I like the idea, I like the concept, I like how they were able to merge those two worlds, and I really like layered vocal tracks. I do. It's just that once it becomes too many of them, it becomes repetitive, it becomes, like I said, it becomes mundane, and it becomes expectable. But overall, I like what they did. It really created an album that's full of anthems, like I said. From the guitar's perspective, I really liked a lot of the melodies on this album. I like that some songs have more of a melodic approach to the guitar sound. Some songs have a more heavier, dirtier approach. I like the changes. I like that the guitars are not unique to the whole record, that you don't have one style, one approach, one blend, one idea, one way of delivering the guitar sound song after song after song. I really like the fact that they changed the way they delivered, the way the guitar sounded, how they incorporated that with the drums, how they incorporated it with the vocals. In some songs, they made the guitar sound a lot more raw, dirty, pure, almost from a pure punk style. And then other songs, it had a little bit more of aggression, it was a little bit more polished, had a little more melody to it, almost a little bit more from a hardcore rock and roll side of things. So I like how they alternated the style in the guitars, and how well they were incorporated with the drums on the record to really give each song the necessary vibe to really represent the song better, to really give a different life to the track. So I really enjoyed that. That was to me a very good positive on this record. Now, as far as songs are concerned, these are not necessarily my favorite songs on the record. These are just 3 songs that I picked because I thought they were unique enough and they had something unique about them that I really wanted to mention to you guys. But also, perhaps, these are the 3 songs that have the easier names for me to pronounce. So I'm going to start with Kämpfer. This is the name of the album, and it has a killer bass track. I really like the bass. It's part of the intro, but once you hear the bass in the intro, when it's that predominant in the intro of the song, even though after the guitars come in, the drums come in, the vocals come in, and that bass kind of falls into the background, the fact that you heard it earlier on in the song, you heard it at the beginning of the song, your ears become adjusted to that sound. So it doesn't matter what comes afterwards, your ears are always going to be able to notice how good that bass line is throughout the track, and that's how they built this song. It has a more methodic approach. It's not one of the faster tempo songs on the record. It has a more methodic approach to it. They added vocal tracks specifically in the chorus of this song to really give that anthem vibe, to give that volume, if you will. This song really has that anthem vibe to it. It's a song that perhaps in a live setting would really work well, because you could really use the voices of the audience to come in together and really give that extra push, that extra volume that the chorus really needs in order to work. This song does that by adding those vocal layers, and I really like it. It makes the chorus feel a lot stronger, a lot thicker, a lot more important, if you will. It just gives a predominance, elevates the chorus of the song. The guitars on this song sound absolutely amazing. I really like the aggressiveness that it has. They never lose that feel. They never lose that rawness from the beginning of the song all the way to the end, and I like that. It really sets this song apart from the rest of the record. Another song that I want to mention to you guys is Trinkteufel. I think I'm pronouncing this absolutely wrong, but it is what it is. I love this track. This track has a punk, hardcore vibe to it, if you will. It's very different from the previous song. It still uses the layering of the vocal tracks. You still get that on this song, but this song has a much different vibe. It really has a punk, a more punk than hardcore vibe to it. It still has that anthem feel to it because of the way the vocals are layered. You still get that anthem vibe to the song, But what it changes around here is the guitar riffs, the melody and the chorus. It's a lot more melodic. It has a different melody to it. While the other song had a lot more aggressiveness, this one has a lot more melody. I like it because it really gives you a little bit of punk and specifically more in the verses, but when it gets to the chorus, it becomes a lot more melodic. It changes things on you. It gives you a little bit of a different feel for the song. So I really like that. It's a song that has a lot of attitude, and yet it has a lot of melody. It really merges those two worlds extremely well. Last but not least, Oben. Oben is a track that comes right before the next track, which is Unten. And these two to me really feel like are one and two. Even though they're two separate tracks on the record, I really feel like these two tracks are one single song. They just feel connected. First of all, they are connected because Oben finishes off bleeding into the next track, Unten. So as one is finishing off, the other one is starting off. So from that perspective, they're already connected. But these two songs really feel like one single song. They just have a melody to them. They just have a storytelling aspect to them. It just feels to me as a listener that you could totally put these two songs together and have one single song. They decided to go with two separate tracks. Now, Unten gives you a different vibe. I don't want to go too much into it because I really want to concentrate on Oben. It gives you a little bit of a different vibe to it, but there's still some similarities. You still feel like one is a continuation of the other. Now, Oben starts off with industrial style vocals, which is very reminiscent of another extremely famous German band, and they use it again towards the middle end part of the song. I like that, and simple. Why? First of all, I like how it sounds. I like the industrial sound that it gives to the song. It gives a working man style to the song, if you will. It takes you out of an urban setting, out of a downtown town setting, and more into the suburbs, the working class man. It really gives that vibe to the song. I like that. The second reason why I like it is because you're not over relying now on layering of the vocal tracks. You're doing something different to the vocals in order to switch the song around. You're giving the song these vocals that sound industrial, that are very different from the rest of the vocals throughout the song. So it just shows that you can use other elements to your vocals to really change the dynamic of the song, and you don't have to over rely on over layering of vocal tracks. So this song to me, immediately, the moment it started, because it had that industrial style to the vocals, immediately it spoke to me. It just had that appeal. It was a song that really captivated my attention because it really mixed punk and hardcore with almost more in an industrial feel, an industrial song. Not from a music side of things, because the music is still very pure to the punk hardcore style, but from a vocal delivery, that those times where those vocals came in, it really changed the dynamic of the song. It really changed everything about the song. It almost made the song feel like something completely different, something like it didn't belong to the rest of the album. So if you're just listening to those parts, they feel like they don't belong there. When you put the whole song together, you understand why they're there. You understand why they were needed in order to give the song a little bit of a different vibe, a different feel, and it matches extremely well with the pure rock, hardcore, rock and roll style that the track has overall. This is a good album. I mean, it's not an exceptional album. It's a good album. It's a solid album. And if you're a fan of hardcore and punk, this album is like a Christmas tree filled with gifts around it. It has anthem after anthem after anthem. It has great tracks. It's a really solid album, and if you're a fan of those styles, this album is something for you to check out. Alright, let me know your thoughts on the band, the songs, your favorite tracks, the singles. Use the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.